Hello, and welcome back to Crime, Lies, and Alibis. I am Nicole, and this is a video about Stephan Stearns being in court yesterday and also the jail call with his parents. I have not heard all of these. I've heard some of them, but not all of them. These were recently released by the state of Florida, and they've been slowly releasing stuff, although these were released about 2 months ago. I'm finally getting to them. I wanted to first thank Gisela K from Grizzly True Crime for putting this together for us to use. She's awesome. I should be linking her in my videos. I'll get to that at some point. But anyway, before I begin, I just want to do the normal reminder that this is for educational purposes only, seeking justice for victims, and is adult content only. Viewer discretion is advised. There is a lot of really sensitive topics. So if you are not ready to hear these things, or this is not your target demographic audience for my audience, find another video of mine, and that's okay. You can come back to this one if you want to. It's totally up to you. Some things may get aggravating. I know they are for me. So if you need to take a step back, that's fine too. Please take care of your own mental health because this guy is really taxing. Also, please like and subscribe to my channel. Keep updates. I'm very new at this, very green. I'm learning, and hopefully you can grow as I do. So I'm going to tuck right in. Yesterday and the day before, so April 22nd and April 23rd, Stephan was in court both days. In the legal justice system, you win some and you lose some. Unfortunately, those of us seeking justice for Maddie took a step back yesterday, but also kind of like we lost a battle, but we hope to win the war sort of situation. We have said from the beginning of this, well, I have said it to people. I'm new here, so I'm just saying it to you now, that when a court date is given, that can change. You hope that it starts that day, but very rarely it does. There's continuances, there's reasons for delay, and different things that kind of come up, and the court is obligated to accommodate those needs. And Stephan is looking at the death penalty here. So the longer he can drag this out, the longer he gets before he's convicted. And that's what it boils down to. Some people want their due process and they want it over quickly. And some people want to drag it out because they have a ton to lose. And in Stephan's case, his ton to lose is quite literally his life. He might not be up for the death penalty for the CSAM, but he's up for the death penalty for murder. So that's why there's two trials. Well, now the trial was supposed to start in 2 weeks. Well, yeah, because it was supposed to start May 5th. And that has been postponed, unfortunately, to July 14th. So when I say you lose some, that feels like a huge loss. Because now, we've been waiting for this for a year, if you want to be real. Maddie's birthday came and went in February. Stephan's arrest came and went in February. Like, this has been a year. And this is why the legal system takes so long, is the continuances and gathering evidence and all of the things. So we were looking forward to his first trial. He won. He got 2 trials. The judge agreed that separating the CSAM from the murder was important for him to not have a risk at a mistrial. I get that. You don't want to taint a jury. And a jury hearing about all the photos and possible videos of CSAM are going to they're going to be much more willing, I guess, if you will, to be like, yeah, this guy needs to just die. So it has to be separated. No chance for a mistrial there. But because the May 5th trial is pushed back to July, Now that's probably going to mean the murder trial that was supposed to start September 22nd is going to end up being delayed too. Because they have to put time between the first trial and the second trial. They could surprise me and still move forward with September 22nd. I doubt it though. I really don't think that that's going to happen that day. I don't think it's going to start that day. I really genuinely think that one's going to get pushed back too. So that's a loss. That's rough for those of us who have been waiting for some justice and some closure here. Because people that care about Maddie and want justice for Maddie can't feel that closure until that leg of justice is served. So that was a loss for us. A loss for Stephan was his motion to suppress. He really wanted a closed courtroom, and so far, the judge isn't giving him what he wants. I keep forgetting what the judge's name is. I probably should, remember. But that was one of the requests that he had that has so far been denied. He does not want this in the public eye. And as I discussed yesterday, that really didn't matter for Lori Vallow, because the people who found her guilty of conspiracy to have her late husband, Charles Vallow, killed, still found her guilty, not knowing what happened to her children, not knowing that she was in prison for murdering her children. She was given a fair trial. She helped select that jury who genuinely didn't know who she was. So Stephan can argue, it didn't hurt Casey Anthony, and while there really wasn't social media then, her case was very well known, and she was still somehow acquitted or found not guilty. So his saying, oh, well, it's such a high profile case. Well, you know how to stop that from being a high profile case? Don't commit the crimes to begin with. It's really that simple. That was so a loss for him was trying to have the criminal trial closed without cameras. Not gonna happen. That's very likely. The thing that we are all also holding our breath on, because we are holding our breath on May 5th, and now we have to wait some more. You wait and you wait some more. The defense team for Stephan also wants to block evidence obtained from his cell phone, arguing that it was unlawfully seized. I have a huge problem with this because their argument is that he was tired. He felt like he didn't have a choice. If he didn't give his phone over, they were going to get a warrant anyway, and they didn't do that. So he gave it to them under duress, blah, 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 blah. He felt he didn't have a choice. They detained him for hours and hours because they were going through the house. He didn't feel like he could leave at any time, even though he never requested to. He had been on medication, all of these different excuses that they're trying to, it's like trying to, we call it the sink defense. You throw everything in there except for the kitchen sink. You're just tossing in as much as you can, hoping to secure a win. And so they're trying to throw all of these different reasons why the phone was improperly searched and why that evidence should be excluded, except, and I really hope the prosecution points this out, except all of those things might be true for anyone else. They might be true. Under duress, not feeling like he had much of a choice. He was exhausted. They had been at him for hours. Blah, 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 blah. However, his exhaustion, him, quote, taking medication, him being filled with anxiety and everything else didn't seem to matter right after he handed them his phone and got a different phone from his dad. He and Jen went to a hotel room. He waited till, allegedly, because we don't know for sure if Jen was asleep or not, waited until Jen was asleep, supposedly, left the phone that his dad gave him. He has a habit of leaving phones behind when he's doing sketchy shit. Nope, sorry, shouldn't swear. He has a habit of leaving his phone behind when he's doing things that he probably shouldn't be doing. He wasn't too tired for that, though. He wasn't too tired and too medicated and too much under duress to drive the nearly 2 hours to his parents' storage unit to dump that external hard drive. So if he was too tired, under duress, felt like he couldn't leave, well, Stephan shouldn't have been able to leave. He had a history of getting rid of stuff, like dumping her backpack with her school laptop in it and her shoe. They knew that he was already doing questionable things because he wasn't being honest. And what did he do the second their back was turned? He left again and drove all the way to Northport to get rid of that external drive. So he had the energy to do that. That's 3 hours round trip, and to stop at Wawa and do whatever else he did, which if people don't know what Wawa is, it's basically a carry out. They sell food and stuff and gas. But that argument doesn't work for me, and I really, really hope it doesn't work for the judge. Like, he did all of these things. If he was this tired and this exhausted, then he would have gone back to the hotel and gone to bed. That's not what he did. He went to dump more evidence. He went to get rid of more things. So I'm sorry, I don't believe that the phone was unlawfully searched and seized and searched. I don't believe for a second that he didn't know exactly what he was doing. He didn't think they would find anything. He'd wiped his phone. He was legitimately believing that he was good, that he didn't have to worry about it. But then when they showed their hand and said, well, we have these photos, then he was like, well, shoot, I need a lawyer now. Because Jen put that in his head. Thanks, Jen. Thank you, Jen, for putting that in his head. Because who knows if he would have thought about it in that moment. But he thought he was clear. He thought he was good. So now I'm going to get into these phone calls with his parents, which I'm mentally preparing myself because from what I've heard of these so far, his mother is very annoying. Stephan's already annoying. Like, I already don't like the guy. And it's, yes, part of it is because of what he's done to Maddie. I mean, a huge part of it is what he's done to Maddie. But just in general, I could never be around someone like him. Every word out of his mouth just sounds so morose. There's a character, he's a cartoon character. His name is Strong Sad. If you don't know who Strong Sad is, pause this video, open up a new window, go to YouTube, and search Strong Sad, or just search him up. Look up a video, because he sounds so defeated all the time. And this just sounds like Stephan all the time. I mean, it could be now because of Maddie being gone and he's just perpetually depressed now. But I have a feeling this is just his personality. And that's why people don't like him. That's why one of the reasons Jen's family didn't like him and why he doesn't seem to have a whole lot of friends other than him being a massive dirtball. But he just sounds like an energy siphon. So every time he talks, he sighs. He's just so, the best word I can use is morose. Like, the world is coming to an end, but also I'm going to be monotone about it. Like, I know this is going to date me and I'm going to sound really old. I mean, you can catch the reruns on, I'm sure, some media platform somewhere. But Wonder Years, Ben Stein's character, the science teacher, when he was like, boom, mass destruction. And then goes on to talk about like casualties of war and how incredibly huge this bomb was when it went off. But he sounds like he could be, talking about getting a root canal. That's kind of how Stephan sounds. Like, just, it's not a big deal, but I'm gonna be a little pouty about it and just have this monotone, and I'm gonna sigh, and I'm gonna say the dumbest crap ever. And I just, like, I don't know why anybody would want to be around him, not knowing all of the things that he did to Maddie, but here we go.
Where the hell you been? I've been trying to call. They've had us on lockdown so often. Every time I've asked them, we've been on a Code 5 lockdown.
Okay.
Which means I've been unable to call. I've been trying to call all weekend, too.
So you've been on lockdown all this time?
Off and on, yes. On the days that I've asked, we've happened to be on lockdown, which means either an incident has happened or they're just so understaffed that they have to lock everyone down. It's probably more to do with understaffing.
Okay. How you been?
Well, you know, had the world's shittiest birthday present, so.
Yeah. And then you didn't call, so I'm assuming because of changes that they prevented you from calling?
I'm going to pause it already. We're 1 minute in. 1 minute. I held off for a whole minute. He did it too. Jen, the day before her birthday, the same day they found Maddie. Of course, they had this interview before they found Maddie, but still. Starts crying, realizing her birthday's the next day. Worst birthday ever. Stephan just said it too. Worst birthday ever. I'm in prison because I'm disgusting and, you know, allegedly unalived a child. Allegedly. Not guilty yet. Can't see people. Couldn't talk to my parents. Couldn't buy my stupid, useless, worthless toys that I'm going to play with instead of investing in. But worst birthday ever. Meanwhile, Maddie was not really acknowledged by her own mother for her birthday when she turned 13, which is a pretty big deal. Like, I know all birthdays to a kid are a big deal, but 13, you're officially a teenager. You're almost grown. You're not a kid anymore in the eyes of a 13-year-old. Like, I am moving up in the world, guys. I am a teenager officially. I'm a little one step closer to not being a child anymore, which, by the way, I know kids aren't supposed to be listening, but total trap. Adulthood is probably one of the biggest traps ever. But that's besides the point. You know, 13 is a huge deal. And Jen could be barely bothered to acknowledge it. Even the roommate, Natalie, was feeling a little bad because she didn't see Maddie on her birthday. So, you know, that well-wish was delayed. And then she had a birthday party that some of the kids from school weren't able to go, canceled last minute. So she was feeling a sort of way about that. Her mother, despite starting a brand new job, couldn't be bothered to say, hey, I need this day off for a party that was already planned. And then was, you know, murdered the night of her party into the morning. So, you know, being in jail because of what you did is just the worst birthday ever. Or being in police interviews and not knowing where your kid is, you know, is the worst birthday ever for you. But, you know, her birthday being the other day is no big deal, I guess. These people.
No, they were actually moving me around a lot, shuffling back and forth, so I was having to get my phone privileges jockeyed back and forth, which takes a little while. And then, like I said, the days that I was asking, we happened to be on lockdown on those days. So it's just been inconvenient.
Okay.
Very inconvenient timing, and then we were on lockdown all weekend. I wanted to call on Mom's birthday. I tried to call yesterday. I tried to call Saturday, and it was no go anytime. So, but I've been wanting to call. How have you been?
I'm trying to put this on speaker.
Yeah.
I'm trying to put this on speaker. Okay.
How have you been? Can you hear me?
Good. Can you hear us?
Yes. Is Mom there with you?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
What's that?
Stephan, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Is Mom with you?
Hang on a second.
Okay.
This is like a bad Verizon commercial. Can you hear me now?
All right, can you hear me?
Yes.
Stephan,
You can hear me? Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes. Okay, I got some speaker.
Okay. Is Mom there?
Yes, mom's with me now.
Okay. Happy birthday, belated birthday, Mom, and happy belated Mother's Day.
Hi, sweetheart. I was so hoping to hear from you. I'm so glad I'm hearing from you now.
Yeah, I'm sorry I wasn't able to call you all weekend. They had us on lockdown, so no one was able to do anything.
Were you expecting these charges?
No.
The murder charge.
Oh, well, you know you're not.
Okay, so you got blindsided by that.
Yeah. Obviously, it's not true. I never would have wanted her gone for any reason, so, premeditated first degree is kind of a dick punch.
Yeah.
No, I was wondering if you had any updates or anything.
Nope, we haven't heard a thing. Just, speculation that she's been
Hiding
put in an institution and hiding in an institution.
at her lawyer's request.
Yeah.
I mean, are you cooperating with police about her participation in any of this stuff?
There's been no opportunity for me to cooperate with anything. As I understand, the police keep saying that I'm uncooperative, but they haven't asked me anything to cooperate with. So.
A couple of things. First of all, I'm going to address that elephant in the room. Jen may have been or may not have been hiding out in a mental institution. But I'm going to defend Jen for about 32 seconds. She has a history of mental illness. She's been in an institution before. She was essayed. And probably a list of things that are wrong with her mental health. So, is she there because of the lawyer's request? Maybe. Because she kept saying, I don't want to spiral again. She didn't want to get back in that depressive state she was in. And her lawyer, if he's worth his salt, which, if she has the same guy, if he's worth his salt, is going to read his client's mental health and make that decision for her if the need is there. Jen, I think you need to check yourself in. So it could have been at his request because he saw that she needed some mental health help because she was spiraling again and they need her to stay mentally with it for her own case. Because see, here's the thing. She has immunity. She was granted immunity, but that immunity only works if you're not being deceitful on purpose, because it's basically a contract. And that's why they ask her, or they say, everything you say here is true. She's under oath. So that would be considered anytime there's these official conversations, whether they be in front of a judge or not, and they tell her that she's under oath, anything that she says at that time, she's responsible for being honest. And then immunity can go away with a snap of a finger because it's a binding contract that is dependent on her being honest. And I know it's been longer than 32 seconds, but could she be in there because it's her way of feigning innocence? Maybe. It could also be because her mental health tanked. It could also be both. It doesn't have to be one or the other in this case. She could be doing it for self-preservation, be it on the legal aspect and on the mental health aspect, because she really does need to stay with it for trials. She cannot be weak here. She has to be strong and be good to make sure that Stephan goes away forever. And if he goes away forever, or even gets a death penalty or whatever, and she helps get him there, then I might be okay, except she never needs to be a supervisor or be around small children again. She never should be responsible for caring for anybody that is vulnerable, because Jen can barely care for herself, much less anyone else. And while we can say, oh, that's not likely, Jen's still relatively young. She's only in her 30s. It's not like she's, 88 and her life is, coming to a close because she's got a plethora of health problems. She's still in her 30s. So I would hope that this would be that something will hold her from ever having this kind of responsibility of taking care of a vulnerable person again. So I'm gonna leave it with that. Is his mother saying, well, she's institutional, or she's in a facility because of her. His mother is already getting on my nerves. Also, the police can't talk to you. You were being uncooperative before you lawyered up. But now that you have a lawyer, they're not going to come to you because they can't. You're protected. Like, this guy doesn't know anything, I swear.
So, whatever that means.
So your attorney isn't approaching them and saying, my client would like to speak with you?
No, my attorneys are pretty much saying to keep my mouth shut until the trial starts.
Well, okay.
Okay. I don't know why they were going to wait till the trial, but that's their business, not mine.
They don't want anything to hurt my chances.
Yep, understand. Okay.
Hey, what was Joey's last name?
What?
Beltry?
Yeah, Veltri.
Joey Beltry? Beltry?
Beltry.
Beltry or Beltry?
Veltri with a V, like victory.
V.
Yep. Okay. All right.
So, yeah, it's basically, well, obviously this confirms that they're artificially inflating everything up as high as they can possibly do it.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
So I don't know
What'll stick.
what the plan is there. If they're just trying to scare me into pleading down, or I don't know.
No, they're not.
Okay.
They're just trying to hurt me as much as possible.
They're just throwing everything at you to see what will stick. They're hitting me with all kinds of things. You mean like what you did to Maddie? Sir. I'm still not beyond believing that he was selling her photos and maybe videos. Why did he have photos of Angelica? And I've said this before. I do not believe that those were the only ones that existed. I think those were the ones he forgot to destroy. Because those kind of things don't happen just once. Not for somebody who has 34,000 photos on an external hard drive. So, he doesn't have any emotional attachment to Angelica. But I'm sure that she would appeal to some audience. Where was he getting money? He didn't have a job. He wasn't working. His parents weren't paying for everything because they struggle financially too. Maybe they don't struggle in the same way some of us do, but they don't have unlimited funds to just give to him. He was getting money from somewhere. I did a whole video on the stupid crap that he was buying and sharing on Reddit. You can go watch it. I firmly believe he was selling images. I do. It's one of the only things that really makes sense. So, this whole they're throwing everything at me, good. They need to. They need to get you with every ounce they can because what you did was heinous. And you know it. Your parents don't, which I suspect Deb is incredibly delusional. Chris, I'm on the fence with. I think in some ways he's disappointed in his son, but he's still his son. So there's that weird sort of loyalty there. I am in the position to where you can love someone with your whole heart, but you hold them accountable for themselves. So I'm kind of holding off on my judgment of him. But, yeah, Stephan, you did something, like, super heinous, and you need to pay for that, and they can't go back. Like, they charge him with what they can, because they can't charge him with these things and then be like, oops, we need to slip this in. They can't do that. They can take stuff away, but It's not like, I mean, some things can be added, I suppose. But once you get to a certain point, like, it is what it is. So they'd rather put it all out there and then maybe take a few things off the table versus adding, and then it's confusing. But I mean, oh no, you, again, like I just said a few minutes ago, you don't want to get nailed with stuff, don't do it. It's really not hard. You don't want to get in trouble for taking a bunch of photos of a minor in the throes of your abuse. Don't do that. Don't abuse the child. Like, he documented it all. He kept it all because he's sick. Otherwise, he could have taken that drive and thrown it in a lake. I'm glad he didn't. I'm glad he put it where he did, but he could have. But I think in his delusional mind, someday he's going to get out of prison and he's going to want those photos. And that's why he put it where he did, because he didn't think law enforcement was going to check a random storage unit owned by his parents. They might have, but Stephan's he's naive, but also, I don't think he's a narcissist, really. I think he's more, I don't know. It'll come to me. It's right there, but kind of a little bit of arrogance, I guess. Like, oh, they're not gonna, they're just looking at me and they're looking at Jen. They're not gonna look to my parents. Just that arrogance and that entitlement that he can do what he wants because, he's kind of above the law here. Anyway, keep it going.
Are you able to share the Saturday night before you left for Kissimmee? You were pretty upset about something. Did it have to do anything with Kissimmee and the events that took place the next couple of days?
No.
Oh, I didn't know that. Whoa. Okay. So, this goes along with the theory, because, at this point it's a theory. We don't know if it's factual, because, some of these are considered, alleged, because there's nothing proving these to be true. So the theory is, and it was kind of touched on with Natalie in her interview, which I still need to do on here. But Natalie said that at night she would keep her TV loud, especially when her son was there, because he was there part of the time with her, and he has autism, and he has a sleeping routine. He has a routine. And she didn't want the noise because it sounds like there's often arguing. Whether it be Stephan and Jen arguing about finances, even though she claims they hardly ever fought, or it was Jen arguing with Maddie. So it was to drown out that noise. Okay? So the belief is something happened on the 24th. Because Maddie had been at her grandmother's. She spent the night at her grandmother's, and she didn't want to go home. She wanted to stay with her grandma. And Jen told her she needed to come home. And people are giving her grandmother a hard time, saying that she took Maddie home to her death, and that Stephanie did that night after her party. No. The law is the custodial parent has the say. So if another person, whether it be a family member, friend, whatever, does not do what the intent is of the parent, or what the ruling or the whatever is by the parent, it's not good. And that person can be turned in by the authorities. If Jen wanted to make a police call and say, I want my daughter to come home, but my mother is detaining her. Jen said, I want Maddie home. So Maddie had to go home. And she and Jen fought. We don't know what they fought about. Could they have fought because Jen said she was tracking Maddie's periods? Her period in January was supposedly a little late, but she didn't have one in February. So she had her period the beginning of January, went the rest of January, was supposed to have her period again the beginning of February and didn't. This was now the 24th. So she's now 3 weeks late, according to Jen. Because Jen tracks it as if that's not invasive of privacy or anything. So was the argument about that? Jen said, I have pregnancy tests in my bathroom. I think there are 2. After saying that she and Stephan hadn't had sex since 2022. I mean, I suppose they could be old ones, but how many people keep pregnancy tests readily available if they're not having sex? And she claimed that he was having a difficulty time with sex too, so they really weren't having it, which the difficulty was apparently with her. Anyway, moving along from that one. So there's these little things that are questionable for people. Detective Kevin even asked about the pregnancy tests and asked if it was possible that Maddie was pregnant. They had that whole conversation about Maddie's periods. Something happened the 24th that made Jen upset enough to call Stephan, claiming she needed his help. She says it's because she needed help with her dog and training, because she had training for her job. But that doesn't make sense because she'd been working the whole week before without issue. Her mom was helping take Maddie to school the days that she had to work and couldn't. So what other reason would she have had for calling Stephan and needing him for, quote, a couple of days? Now remember, Stephan had moved out completely out of the house at the beginning of December, end of November, shortly after Thanksgiving. He'd come back to visit for, quote, a couple of days around Christmas and was there, I think, in part of January. So he wasn't living there, but he had been back. And Natalie didn't even know he was back because she didn't see his car. And he wasn't even driving his normal car, so she wouldn't have recognized it. He was driving his dad's car. And she didn't see him. She didn't see him Sunday night. She didn't see him Monday morning. She didn't even know that Stephan was, quote, back until after Maddie went missing. And Jen told her that Stephan took her to school. And she's like, why would Stephan take her to school? Because he'd been gone. Natalie didn't even know he had been around in January. I don't know how much she was around the family at Christmas time. I would imagine she probably spent a lot of time with her own family at Christmas to not really see him. But she thought he was gone. He'd been moved out for 2 months. That room still stayed empty, though. Maddie didn't move up into that room. She didn't relocate her stuff in that room. Jen claims it was available for rent, but, you know, who knows? But that's interesting because his dad just said, why were you upset to go back to Kissimmee? So something happened and Stephan was upset, and that's why he went back. Interesting.
Okay.
No, I was just stressed out about money and job and everything like that.
Some woman got on a YouTube thing and said that you weren't even at the party.
Party?
Yeah, her birthday party.
Yeah, I haven't gotten there yet. I went up there Sunday evening and got there.
Oh my god, I was pausing already. First of all, I wonder if that was Gisela. Gisela K with he wasn't at the party, some woman on YouTube. It was probably Gisela. That's so funny. Holy crap. Gisela K, we love you. He wasn't invited to the party, ma'am. Jen's parents don't like him. Jen's family doesn't like him. Nobody likes your son. They think he's garbage. He's a bum. He doesn't hold down jobs. He doesn't contribute financially. They don't like your son. He's annoying. Like, I wouldn't be able to be in the same room with him for 5 minutes. And I know that for some people, I'm kind of annoying. My personality is pretty, out there. I'm excitable. I get loud when I'm, animated when I'm talking. But, like, there's reasons to not like this guy. He wasn't invited to the party. So, no, he didn't go to the party because it was at her grandmother's house, and her grandmother couldn't stand him. He wasn't invited. Jen could have taken her dog the day after Maddie went missing when they had to leave the house and gone and stayed with her mom. But she even said, I couldn't because my mom can't stand Stephan and he's not welcome in her home. That's what she said. So Jen, prioritizing Stephan as per the normal, went and got a hotel room with him instead of staying with her mom. And I really want to get through this. I'm only 5 minutes and 50 seconds into a 3-hour video. But, like, I would be so mad at him, I wouldn't have been able to look at him. You were the last person to see my daughter alive, and you can't tell me where she is. And none of your stories make sense. You can't really account for where you actually were. And this was before the conversation when she realized he was by SeaWorld and everything else. Like, she prioritized staying with him versus going and staying with her mom. But he didn't go to the party because he wasn't invited to the party. And it wasn't because he was late or anything else. He wasn't invited because nobody liked him.
There after she was done at her party.
Oh, okay.
And we were very happy that I was there. We were very happy that the three of us were together. It was shaping up to be a great week and a great visit. There's no reason for anything to happen that happened.
Is there some explanation of I came up Wednesday morning, met you at the hotel early in the morning, and is there some explanation why you left and went where you went?
I was driving around.
Okay. Understood you were driving around, but they know where you were driving around.
Again, I'm sorry I'm interrupting, but I said this in the beginning. He was so tired when he gave permission for the phone. He felt trapped. He was under duress. He was medicated. He was this. He was that. Didn't stop him from going and driving around for hours instead of sleeping. Doesn't look good for you, Stephan. I really, really, really hope and pray that the judge doesn't throw out the phone evidence. I don't think he will, but I'm nervous about it.
Yeah.
And we know.
Okay. I had wanted to grab a few things and get my ducks in a row, kind of prepare myself for whatever was coming, but
Hide evidence.
I couldn't find what I was looking for.
Okay.
And then I ended up just kind of driving around aimlessly.
Okay. I mean, you asked me to come up, and we hardly spent 35 minutes the entire time I was there throughout the entire day. And it's like, I wasn't sure why I was there, and then I was caught off guard by what happened later that afternoon, and obviously haven't seen you since.
Yeah, well, I just felt like I needed an ally there.
An ally or an alibi?
I wish you had come to me and talked to me about some stuff, and maybe we could have helped you out in some way, giving you some advice. But certainly, under the extenuating circumstances, what was later discovered obviously couldn't help you any further than what had already taken place. So the most logical thing would be to have, face up to it and have a conversation with the appropriate authorities or get an attorney or something. But be that as it may.
Yeah, well, okay.
Yeah.
Well, we got a copy of your birth certificate for Sheila Marino and for your case. We're trying to get hospital records from the TBI, but Sarasota Memorial says you were never a patient there, so that's ridiculous if we know you were.
Yeah. And were you able to find my Social Security card?
Yes?
Good. I presume it was probably in that mouse toy box with everything?
I don't know.
Also, you heard that correct. She's trying to use the excuse that he supposedly has a TBI, which is a traumatic brain injury, as if that's an excuse for his, disgusting habits.
No, it wasn't.
What's in my, was,
No, I don't recall where it was, but it wasn't. It
Okay.
wasn't there. But
I don't remember if you had confirmed or not. Were you able to find my watch?
No, we weren't.
Yeah. Okay.
So
there was no popcorn box.
So
little silver mouse
we already
toy.
had your social security card. So why did you think we needed? I already knew your number. I don't. Why did you think we need to find the card?
Just in case I was going to need it in the future.
Okay. Well, we have that.
How long I'm going to be here, or if or when I'll ever be released, or if you guys are going to be around at that point. But, birth certificate, social security card might be things I'll need in that case.
Wow.
Well, the penalty for the crimes you have been charged with carry a minimum 40-year sentence. So obviously we're going to be gone. Rick will be gone. We'll all be gone. I mean, we're sad about that, obviously, because there won't be anybody here for you when you come out.
Pausing. I know I'm going to be pausing again in a minute. That's poignant right there. The minimum is 40 years. The minimum. Because of his crime. I did a video yesterday on Isaiah Harris. And Jarvis Butts is looking at the same thing. Even if he's not found guilty of Naziah's death, he's guilty of abusing her. And each charge is 20 years, which he'll likely get. Even without the phone, that hard drive that Stephan had 34,000 photos on it. He's not getting out of that. He's not. So at minimum, even if he's not found guilty for her murder, he's got 40 years. He's already, at this point, nearly 38. So he'll be 78 by the time he gets out. His parents are already in their 70s.
Yeah, and I'll be lucky if I have another 40 years left in me either, so.
See?
Yeah.
And that, I guess, everything sticks.
And Rick is his brother.
I wish there was a way that, you and I can have a conversation, all of us could have a conversation to understand what's taken place, how this came about, how you arrived here, because it would help us better understand the situation, because we're at a loss for understanding how all this came about. I mean, we're just totally baffled.
Well, I didn't start it.
Excuse me?
Well, you didn't start it, but you participated in it, which is just as bad as not starting it, but that's for another day. Again, I don't know if
details or anything, but, I mean, if you'd like to schedule a visit with me or something, maybe we can find some way to talk.
Excuse me?
I don't know. I think we're always going to be recorded, so there won't be an opportunity to do that. Now, we have to make arrangements for you to sign off on a power of attorney so we can do something with this car.
Yeah.
And I would have to bring a document over. They won't even let me see you. I would just hand it to the classification officer. He would bring it in, you'd sign it, they would notarize it, give it back to me, and I would leave.
What does he mean I didn't start it? I want to know what he meant by that. He best not be talking about Maddie, because this started when she was 8 years old. And even if it started when she was 12, she's a child. She was a minor. We're not talking about somebody who is accusing him of, sexual misconduct, who was, 28 years old, and they initiated something with him first that escalated. Still wouldn't be okay, for the record. But that I didn't start this. Well, you participated. No. I want him to know what he means by that. He didn't start it. Who did, Stephan? Who started it? Who initiated it? Maddie? I hope that's not who you mean. And if it was Jen, say that. And explain why and how Jen started it, Stephan. Or are you claiming that you don't want to say that because by incriminating her, you incriminate yourself? Okay, but if it was her who initiated it and said, hey, do this with my daughter so we can make money selling photos. I don't know if that's, what he did, but, we're using hypotheticals here. Say that. It all started with her. She was the one who was taking photos. She was the one who was doing whatever. Take some of that blame off yourself, Stephan, if she was involved. Otherwise, I want to know what he meant by that. What did he mean? I didn't start it. Excuse me?
Okay. I think I just got the 1 minute warning.
Okay.
So yeah,
Take that.
give them whatever you need, and I'll sign whatever I need to sign. In the meantime, I'll try to call back in the next couple of days and we'll talk some more. If you wouldn't mind putting a little more money in my commissary as well.
All right. I can't do much stuff because we are really, when I say dead ass broke, I mean dead ass broke, but I'll do what I can.
Okay, I appreciate it.
That could change, but right now, for the next 30 days, we are definitely in lockdown.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay. All right.
Maybe
I'll try to get over there within the week to get the POA taken care of.
Okay. There's a 15-minute cooldown before I can call back. I'll see if I can call back again. If not, I'll try to call back in the next couple of days.
Okay. Thank you. All right.
Okay. All right. I love you. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes. Is this a good time?
Yes. The phone was in the dining room. I was in the office. Didn't realize it was ringing, and the second time it rang, I didn't even hear it ringing.
Oh, okay. How's everything going?
Well, good. Everything's fine with us. How about you?
Well, hanging in there so far. Any news or updates on your end?
No.
No? Okay.
How about yours?
Well, I got a chance to look at the autopsy reports.
And?
You can't say.
Oh,
I can't go into too much detail, but raises a lot of questions.
Okay. Well, you don't need to say any more.
Yeah.
Did you get the books?
No, not yet. Did you get notification of delivery?
yes.
Okay, well, I haven't received them yet.
So they arrived in one location. They have to be transported over from that location, which is outside of St. Pete, and then over to Kissimmee.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean,
It goes to Seminole, it goes to Seminole, and then from there it's sent over to you. So, as I said, Seminole is over by St. Pete.
Yeah, and who knows how often, they pick it up, so.
Yeah.
And then they have to sort it and check it out and then deliver it to people. So I guess we'll give it another week or so.
If you get a chance, Stephan, I found a chess set that is a mat, just a roll-up mat, but the pieces are made out of silicone.
I still don't think that'd be allowed.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I said.
Well, you can't melt the silicone into anything, but okay.
Yeah,
No.
you can swallow it and choke on it or whatever,
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't think about.
Yeah, or jam it into somebody's eye,
Yeah, there's a lot of things you
so
don't think
these
about,
things.
lady.
So last time
No.
we talked, you had not found my watch, correct?
Right.
When you went into that box, however, did you see a big plastic purple dragon?
Oh, God.
No.
Nope. Big plastic purple dragon?
No.
You were probably in the wrong box then. Said it was in one of the large boxes at the foot of my bed.
No, didn't see a big plastic purple dragon.
Okay, well, in one of those boxes you will find a big plastic purple dragon, and that is one of the popcorn buckets. And that's not the one I'm talking about. That's just to show you that the popcorn buckets look like other things. But in that same box, you'll see a silvery gray looking sort of box with wheels on the bottom and a brown shoulder strap attached to it. That's the mouse droid. In that should be my watch.
The mouse what?
The mouse what?
What the? Okay, what is so important about this watch that he's going on and on about this watch? Is it of specific value? I'm confused. Purple dragon, a mouse toy? Like, that's just weird. He's asking, you know, what kind of, how much stuff did he have in the room or wherever that I'm confused. But all right, whatever.
Droid, M-O-U-S-E, droid.
Okay.
What is a mouse droid?
It's looks like a little, almost like a remote control car from Star Wars. You can Google it and see what it looks like, and then find a thing that looks like that with a brown strap attached to it. In that should be my watch, though.
I think we've been through about everything.
All right, purple dragon. All right, well, make a note of that.
The purple dragon is in the mouse droid, but the mouse droid is in the same box as the purple dragon.
Okay.
You got that?
Well, maybe I'll find a Rolex too, because we still haven't found that.
I never had the Rolex.
Okay. Where is that blue and white little ceramic box that you had that you put stuff in?
That would have been in storage somewhere.
Okay, I thought you had it in.
No. No, that would be somewhere in storage. So if you guys cleaned out the storage unit, then you may have come across it already.
Where did Stephan get a Rolex?
Well, listen, we've got a lot of boxes we're still going through. So.
Okay.
And
That's fine.
Well, the boxes are we just stuck in the garage.
Yeah.
So there's no place to put it.
Well, it'll be in one of those boxes.
Okay, babe.
Anyway.
We'll be looking for it, that's for sure.
Yep, and look for that wristwatch inside the mouse droid.
Okay.
It's in the same box as the purple dragon. Okay.
Okay. Definitely will look.
Yeah, you'll see a whole bunch of other like Disney collectibles.
We're having trouble getting any cooperation with the classification people there to get you to sign the POA so we can get the car sold and start a little slush fund here for you for there.
Really?
But,
yeah.
Well, they say because of where you're incarcerated that can't be facilitated with bringing a document back and having it signed. So we told your attorneys about it, and we told them that we would overnight the POA. They could take it in, have you sign it, and I would include a self-addressed returned overnight envelope so they could just drop it off and send it to us. So maybe you can have that conversation with them.
Yeah, because bringing me documents to sign has not been a problem before. When the media asked for my consent for interviews, I had officers literally bring me a form and ask me if I wanted to sign it for consent or not. So I don't think that's really the issue.
So the media's reached out and tried to schedule interviews with you, and you
2 or 3 times,
accepted or declined? Yeah.
did you talk to them?
No, I've declined every time.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it wouldn't do me any good right now.
Yeah. Well, anyway, if you could have that conversation with your attorneys, that would be great.
Yeah, that should be able to be arranged.
We got a new copy of your birth certificate for them.
Okay.
Which I was going to bring over for them so I can overnight that as well. So again, have that conversation that I could overnight the package along with the POA. They could take the POA into you, have you sign it, and then we could, and then I would include a return envelope as well, and they can send it back to us.
Yeah. As far as a birth certificate, I guess what you would just have that included with whatever my belongings they took into storage when I was booked.
Say that again?
No, I don't know, this is for something that they're doing. They wanted to get your records from Sarasota Memorial and from Irvine, California for the kidney surgery, and both of those have their own forms that you have to sign them because you're an adult. You're no longer a minor. I can't sign for them. But, so that's going as well.
Do you have those documents?
Yes, they're in the.
Oh, okay.
What county was I born in? It was Kane County, right?
Yeah, yeah. So we have your birth certificate.
What was the name of the hospital?
I don't know. Is it on the birth certificate?
Yeah.
Does it matter?
I was just wondering if I ever need to find it for any reason.
Well, Kane County would have it.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, the hospital doesn't have it. Kane County does it.
Okay. So I'll just contact the court for Kane County, I guess?
Yeah. So it was like $45 to get this copy of this birth certificate. It doesn't say which hospital.
Okay. But Kane County.
But it has, I'm sorry, Copley Memorial Hospital.
Copley?
Yeah.
With a C or a K?
C.
C, okay. Copley Memorial in Kane County. Okay. Just if I ever need to get that and I don't have anyone to rely on, it would help.
We're trying to get a hold of your attorneys that handled the things when you and Joey got run over. But it's changed so much, and the partners are split up, and I think one of them is in California that would be the one I wanted to talk to, but I've called and left him a message, and he hasn't returned the call.
Okay.
So we're trying to do anything that they asked us to do on our end, we're doing. And so I don't know. We get pushback sometimes when we ask for information, but
don't worry.
One of them informed me that she was a criminal attorney, not a civil attorney, and getting a POA done was not part of her business.
That was probably Alicia.
Could have been.
Yeah, she's a no-nonsense type.
Well, if she has your best interest in mind, it'd be his best interest to get it done so that we can keep you funded.
Okay, so listen, ma'am, your son may be maybe an important client to them. Maybe I'm really stretching that because let's be real, it's a short stick that they drew. He is a terrible client to have. Just like I said, I felt last night for the defense attorneys for Jarvis Butts, because they have a horrible client and they have a horrible job defending him because they have to. They legally have to defend him, even if they think he's the worst human garbage to ever walk the earth. They still have a duty and an obligation. But he's not their only client. I'm sure there are a lot of other people they wish they weren't defending that they are. So it's not like Stephan's the top priority. He should take precedence over everyone. You entitled woman. Like, I know he's your baby and you want the best for him and, you want to live in the land of denial. Maybe you should move to Egypt. But, let's be real here. He's not their only client. They have other clients. They have court that they have to attend. They have other things they have to do, and he isn't their sole purpose. They're public defenders.
Yeah, well, one thing at a time, I guess. If you guys can find my watch, that will be another step in the right direction. It's in there.
There's okay. I just hope that it's somehow that you can really identify it, because
Identify what?
where is that note? What the box of
Okay, we've been over that. We'll just keep looking.
Purple Dragon, asteroid. Top of the master.
Okay.
Wristwatch is inside.
Okay.
Okay. What else is new with you guys?
Just going to church, doing open houses. We're studying the Book of Romans. I would love for you to read that.
And Lacey's going to have puppies.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm going to miss that. I love to see all those little happy little wagging tails and bright eyes and smell all that puppy breath.
Oh, yes.
Do you know when your court date's going to be yet?
No clue. Might not be for another couple months. It depends if they even need my testimony at all. Which, I mean, you would hope they would, but, I mean, at some point I assume I am going to see the inside of the courtroom.
Yeah.
It'd be a pretty strange trial without it.
Yeah. Well, there's been no news at all. So everything's just kind of status quo from where it was last time. Where have you been for the last week?
Couldn't make a call for a little while. Some of the people that work the night shift, as I said, are not as nice to me. So I've been waiting for people who are. And then, I got sick as well, so I've been sick for a few days.
Cold?
Presumably, yeah. I've had a pretty bad fever and a sore throat, some serious pressure on my left inner ear. Yeah, like I said, this place is filthy and unsanitary, and obviously they don't clean these cells before they bring a new person into it.
Did they move you again?
Yeah, they moved me again as well. So I moved out of the room with the ants, and now I'm back into the room with the ants again, too.
Oh, well, familiar friends.
Yeah, they just love moving me, especially around 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning when I'm comfortable and trying to fall asleep. I think they do it just to mess with me, honestly.
Well, if that's all they do, then be happy.
Yeah, well, it's hard to be happy, though.
It could be a lot worse.
Yeah, it could. People have survived a lot worse than this, but...
Yes.
We'll see what happens, I guess.
But when it happens...
It's air conditioned in there, isn't it?
Yes, it is. So I've got that at least for now. Although one little room they put me in before was tiny and did not have air conditioning, or at least the air was not circulating in there, so it was hot, it was stifling, and it smelled like an old dog kennel. I'm glad they moved me out of that.
Did you got enough bedding to keep warm at night?
I have one mat and one little thin, scratchy wool blanket.
No sheets on the mat, I assume?
No pillow, no sheets, nothing.
So it's so funny listening to him complain, and I know his complaining isn't done, so I'm probably gonna be, stopping him to laugh at him some more, because, let's poke and laugh at Stephan. Why not? But, first of all, he's in county because he hasn't been, he's been charged, but he hasn't been convicted. So he's in county, he's not in prison. He's not in long-term big boy prison, he's in county. And while county is still a jail, they're not going to have the same amenities and stuff as long-term. But this is prison. This is what his life is going to be. His days of comfort are done. His days of having comfort are over. That's the sacrifice that a person makes doing what he did. You know what? Oh, he was in a little room that was stifling because the air didn't circulate very well. Too bad. You know how you could have avoided that? Don't be disgusting. Don't abuse a child. Don't kill a child. Don't get involved with people that aren't good for you and commit crimes. That's how you avoid prison. That's how you avoid these minor inconveniences, if you will, or these just, I mean, they're not minor to him, these great inconveniences. Oh, you know what? You don't like your scratchy wool blanket? I'm sorry. How about you go to one of those prisons? I believe, I mean, I don't know if they're as authentic, but anybody who watches Stranger Things saw the prison that Hopper was in. You know, just this open-aired prison while it's snowing and it's cold. Why don't you go be one of those guys? Because I'm sure that's pretty miserable. I know there are prisons like that are open air. Like, obviously people can't get out and be on the run, but can you imagine an open aired prison that has you have 3 walls and a door? You could be there. You could be in stifling hot conditions, like some of the countries that don't get cold. They're hot, hot, and hot, and those are their temperatures. Well, I'm sorry, hot, hot, and hotter. You could be there. So boo-hoo, you didn't have air conditioning in one of your cells. Oh my goodness. You poor man. How dare they not accommodate your every need and whim? Again, you don't want to be in the position where you are, don't do what you did. It's really that simple. I know it's hindsight, but like, it's that simple. Deb, you don't like your son being where he is? Well, he earned where he is. He wasn't framed. He wasn't set up. He did what he did. You know, I hope that by now, because it's a year later almost, I hope that by now, well, it has been a year, but almost a year since these conversations. I hope that she's a little less delusional now and realizes, hey, my child isn't a good person. Because right now, it's like she's staunchly believing he is a good person and doesn't deserve this.
Okay. Well, it's not the Ritz or the Holiday Inn.
1 minute
No.
remaining.
Oh, there's the 1 minute warning. God, these 15 minutes go by so fast, just like my break at work. So I'll try to call you back in another 15 minutes, but you know the drill. If you don't hear back from me again, day or two.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay, we love you, honey.
Love you
All right.
too, Mama Bear, but I will try to call you back in 15 minutes if possible.
We'll be hovering over the phone.
All right. Bye.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Hey there.
Hey.
Hey.
Hey, the guard just let me know that she's going to need the phone back in about 5 minutes. I think someone else wants to make a call.
Okay.
So this will have to be brief. Probably the last one of the night, but I'll push it till she needs it back.
All right. Well, you know, better than nothing.
Yep. So anyway.
Waiting for you to call back was long.
What's that?
And waiting for you to call back seemed like forever.
Turn the light on.
Then it just goes by quickly when we talk.
Yep. Same for me. Time creeps by when I'm waiting to call back, and then just slides by real quickly when we're talking there. Just like I said, just like my breaks at work, 15 minutes is never quite as long as you think it is.
Yeah.
But
Okay. How's your eyes? Do you need reading glasses?
if I did, I don't know what kind I would need. For now, they serve their purpose. But even my attorneys noticed at some point that I did seem like I had to kind of squint to look at what I was reading.
Okay.
I think it just depends on how tired I am, how strained my eyes are, you know, all that. But yeah.
What do they have provisions there to provide reading glasses, or what?
Yeah,
Or can you have reading glasses?
You can get reading glasses off the commissary, actually.
Oh.
Yeah.
Why don't you check into that and see which ones work for you, and I guess that's the only place you can get them, right?
Yeah, probably. But that would be a matter of trial and error because they have like 3 or 4 different magnifications, I think, and I have no idea which I would need.
Well, try 150, 1.50, and then go to 175, and you know, see which works.
Yeah, I guess I could.
I mean, can you try them on?
I think you just have to buy them. I don't think you get to try them. There's no way to make the order and pay for it and then like send it back, you know.
Well, what if they don't work? Can you send them back?
He just said he can't.
I don't know how that works. I could ask somebody, but I'm not sure.
Okay, we'll find out. How much are they?
Like $3 or something like that.
$3?
Something like that. I'm not sure.
What are they, like paper 3D glasses?
They're plastic.
Well, yeah, I was just being facetious.
Yeah, they could be more. They might be 4 or 5 or 6.
Okay, so they're talking about glasses being $5 or $6. Are you kidding me? Laughs and I need new glasses, but these cost me like $600 2 years ago, and I really don't have another $600+ to spend on new glasses. And you're gonna complain about $5 or $6? You poor baby. And even if you have to buy everything, every magnification they have in stock to see which works for you. Oh no, I can't imagine spending $25 on glasses to figure out which one works for me and then have multiple pairs. Like, unreal. Like, this guy is complaining about glasses. Yeah, I wish that I could pay $5 or $6 for glasses. Jackass. Sorry.
Dollars, something like that. I don't
All right,
remember.
yeah, we'll check it out.
Yeah, could be even $12. I don't remember. I mean, I saw them, but I don't remember how much the price was.
Yeah, okay. All right.
How you doing? How you doing with your stuff that you got from the commissary? You have enough to
Well, he's fat and sassy.
Yeah, I've got enough coffee, hard candies, and saltine crackers to last me through the end of the month here.
Well, that's a couple more days.
Yeah, the other snacks kind of went faster than I expected them to, so I think from now on I'm just going to stick to coffee, hard candies, and saltine crackers.
Yeah, well, once you get your books, you'll have something to occupy your time.
Yeah, but hard candies, saltines, and coffee, those have seemed to give me the best bang for my.
Okay. All right.
Chips and things like that, the pickles and all that, it just doesn't last the way you want it to.
Poor Stephan can't ration his pickles. Excuse me. I'm gonna go run upstairs and get a cup of pickles and eat them just because I can and he can't. You know, the best bang for my buck. It just they don't last long enough. The cookies and the pickles. Sorry. It's not as funny. But oh man, I think I'm also gonna go get a bag of Jolly Ranchers next time I go to the store. Just because I can have them and Stephan can't. Or those little, crackers that are cheddar crackers with peanut butter on the inside. I think I'm gonna get some of those too because Stephan can't. He's eating saltines and hard candies. I imagine like the knockoff ones, not like he gets Werther's originals because those are a little more bougie than what he's allowed in prison. But poor guy. Oh, what a shame. My heart bleeds for him. Sorrow, prayer, sorrow.
Yeah. Okay.
It's hard to have just one per day,
Yeah.
especially with the meals like they are, and you never feel full after a meal, so you always feel like in your stomach, especially after dinner, because that's around 6 or 7, and then there's nothing else until like 6 in the morning.
Yeah.
So, and me, I'm
well, you've had a lifetime of snacking all night long.
Yeah, well, plus my metabolism doesn't help. Oh.
Yeah. So.
See, what's really killing me though is my back and my hips.
My metabolism helped. Sure.
The bed.
So did weight loss surgery there, buddy. Let's call it what it is.
Quote unquote bed. Your bones sink right through and rest on the floor underneath. So, it hurts your hips and then your knees are resting against each other and it's tough.
Yeah.
When the lights are on, in these pods at Suicide Watch and Medical, the lights are always on overhead, and so they're real bright. So you try to find a way to block it out, and any way you lay is just terrible.
Yeah.
the debris from the floor that ends up on your mat and your blanket, and it sucks.
Yeah.
Just really keep hoping that something's going to break in my favor with this trial.
Well, okay.
I have to have hope about something, I have to maintain some sort of hope, otherwise I've got nothing.
Yeah.
I've always given my guardian angel one hope.
Well, you've been there. You've been there for what, 3 months now?
Yeah, at the end of this month it'll be 3 months.
March, April. Yep, 3 months.
So I keep hoping there's going to be a break in my case. Okay. The break in your case would be trial. Because, I'm sorry, buddy, it's a year later and you're still there. And you're going to be there because your attorneys, per your wishes, keep fighting to delay. So the more they delay, the more you're stuck in county. You can't move on to the next place until trial. You're the one putting off movement here. You don't have a guardian angel. They're retired. If you had one, that guardian angel packed their bags and went on to someone else. You got nothing on your side, buddy. Nothing but your lawyers and your parents. You don't have friends. You don't have anyone else other than your parents and those who are legally bound to protect you or to help you, I should say. You've got no one. Because who you did had, you killed and threw away like she was meaningless, like she was worth nothing. So the only thing delaying it is you having a trial. You're standing in your own way at this point from moving forward and having a little bit more comfort than what you've got now. And when I say a little more, it's still going to suck, and I hope it does. A break in his case. He's hoping for a break in his case. It's unreal, and this is what I mean when I talk about his entitlement. He feels that he shouldn't be there. And that, you know what that tells me? There's no remorse. Because somebody who's remorseful is where they are and know that they should be there. For example, I'm going to give you an example of Andrea Yates. 30 years after she killed her children, she was offered release from the mental facility that she is in. She's better. She's been medicated for 30 years. She doesn't have any of the postpartum psychosis that she had. She's beyond childbearing years. And she says, no, I'm good where I'm at. I belong here. I can help people better where I am and help myself better where I am than being out. That is someone who has remorse and foresight to know that she's better where she's at and society is better with her being where she is. That's someone who's remorseful and was offered an out and didn't take it. Someone who was denied wanting out is the woman who killed singer Selena and shot her in the back. She feels like a, quote, political prisoner still being in jail. Some 25 years or so after the murder of Selena. 30 years, however long that has been. It's just celebrated not celebrated, but the anniversary was very recently. And she was denied parole. She doesn't feel remorse for what she did, and she doesn't feel she belongs in prison. I mean, she's safer where she is. She might be getting hurt regularly there because inmates don't like her. But again, she chose to take a life and was cowardly about it. So people who feel like he does, a break in the case, doesn't feel like he belongs there, tells me he doesn't feel remorse for anything that he did to Maddie. And that's sickening. Because his acts alone were heinous and horrendous enough. But for him to legitimately believe that he doesn't deserve every ounce of what he's facing right now, which is clear in these phone calls, is another level of disgust that I can't with this guy.
Well, like I said, the whole process could take 2 or 3 years before it's concluded, so. And I've already been told that if the prosecution is smart, that they'll drag it out as long as they can.
Yeah.
So, who knows what's going to happen. So, just keep hoping we can find something.
Well, you know, as soon as you get some reading material and we know that arrives safely, then we can arrange for other stuff.
Yep. That will be good, having my own little mini library with stuff that I like to read, instead of just what, you know.
So when they move you from cell to cell, how do you move your stuff around?
I toss it all in my blanket, close my blanket up, fold my blanket up into my mat, and then push it.
Oh, they move you, blanket and mat.
Yep. Typically they'll move me with the mat, but if they don't, I'll take my blanket and everything and just hope that they clean the mat in the new cell well enough, which last time they did not.
Yeah. Right.
I found a whole wad of spit underneath at one time. At least I hope.
So you get to well, you should, you know, maybe complain to management.
No.
Yeah, well, I'll be sure to include it in my Yelp review.
That right there. I'd heard that in a clip before. I'll be sure to add it in my Yelp review. I know that you've got to use dry humor sometimes because it's a stressful situation and where he's at really sucks. But bro, again, the entitlement of how he feels it should just be better. I'll add it in my Yelp review. Yeah, okay, so he was trying to make funny out of a crappy situation. But enough with the jokes, buddy. You're not paying for your stay there, really. The taxpayers are. So, like, for me, I'm not a resident of Florida, so I'm technically not a taxpayer that's in his county giving to that prison or even giving, you know, money to the state. I visit there enough, so I suppose that maybe I help in some ways with taxes that I pay on the various things and wherever that money goes when I, you know, because they have taxes on goods and stuff. But like, I want him to be miserable because that's what he deserves. He made that child miserable. He destroyed her life. So who cares if he has a really crappy mattress that he sleeps on and a blanket that makes him itchy and there's not great circulation in the room and nobody gives him a ceiling fan and whatever luxuries he thinks he's entitled to. 1-star Yelp review. You know what? You're kept dry. You're not in the elements. You're given food even if you don't like it. You have way more than you're worth, buddy. Jerk.
Yeah.
1-star. Accommodations suck. Food terrible.
Yeah. Well, the idea is not to be there, but that's...
Thank you, Chris. I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, no kidding.
Really glad you said
Stephan,
that.
I could never have imagined that we would all be in this situation. I just couldn't. There's no way I could have ever even visualized this. This is awful.
Yeah, me either, to be honest.
Well, I mean, things kind of went sideways, whatever happened with, so you knew that was going to go down a rat hole.
Yeah, well, I never
And then,
in a million years that she would not be around anymore, so.
yeah. So once that went sideways, whatever happened, you know, that was all she wrote.
Yeah, well, you know, I can handle a lot of things.
Not in.
What's that?
I said, Bill has not been heard from except for an interview she did with a newspaper where she told everybody that she did sleep with you guys and she said to sleep with you in the other room.
Oh, okay. Well, as I was going to say, I can handle a lot of things, but one thing I just can't reconcile or figure out in my mind or wrap my head around is the fact that, he doesn't get to live anymore. There were a lot of things that I wanted to see for her, She had another year or so before high school. Learning how to drive, figuring out what she wanted to do with her life. I was excited to see where she was going,
Well, Stephan, you didn't have to kill her. And that's the saddest part of all is she's not here because you made her not here. She's not here because you ruined her opportunities. She didn't get to experience those things because you stole it from her. You stole her innocence. You stole her life. So he has a little bit of regret there that she's not there, and he was excited to see those things for her, but he did not have to do what he did. And he chose to. He didn't have to start abusing that little girl when she was 8 years old or earlier. He didn't have to do those things. He chose to. Nobody held a gun to his head or told him that it was do this or we hurt her or we hurt, whatever. He did what he wanted to do. He took his own liberties with someone who trusted him. And whether he did it for his own need and his own sick desires, whether he did it for monetary reasons or both, he made choices. He made choices that ended her life and soiled years of her life. She already started out rough. She already started out with a mother and a father that weren't together anymore. She already started out with men entering her mom's life, and she has a stepmom who I guess really cared about her and loved Maddie, and Maddie loved her back. But she had a broken family. She had a mother that was vulnerable and let a predator, a pedophile, into their lives. Somebody who apparently always was drawn to people significantly younger than him, even in high school. He graduated way late. He was almost 20 by the time he graduated high school and was dating a 14, 15-year-old who was a freshman. He shouldn't even have been looking in that girl's direction in high school. But he was. That's who he chose to date. He had predatory intentions even then. And he found someone so incredibly vulnerable. Hate Jen or not, she was vulnerable. And he sniffed her out. She has mental health problems. She suffers from manic depression, denial, all of the things. And he honed in on her and wormed his way in, got into her life, broke down those walls that she supposedly had up, which were very flimsy to begin with. And one thing led to another, and he's sleeping alone in a bedroom and taking advantage of a child. And I don't care if he saw Maddie as his equal. She wasn't. She was a child. I don't care if he has the brain of a 12-year-old. He was in his 30s, and it's her when she was 8. 8 years old. And he did that. He did it. Nobody made him. It wasn't no one else, and they framed him. He made those choices. He wanted to see those things. I'm sure she wanted to see those things too. I'm sure she wanted to go to high school. I'm sure she couldn't wait to drive and date and have friends that she could see whenever she wanted. Have sleepovers, real sleepovers. I'm sure she wanted those things too. School dances and football games and prom and all of those things that teenagers get to enjoy. He took those things from her. Someday meeting the right person and getting married and having a life. Children of her own, a career. All of those things that he took from her. And he has the nerve to martyr himself and say, I wanted her to see all these things. I didn't think we were going to be here. Maybe you should have thought about that before you wrapped your hands around her throat while she fought for her life.
Really impressed with the person that she was finally growing into.
Well, got a whole lot to talk about, a lot to own up to.
Well, again, I know you can't talk about this, but it's like, it almost sounds like you didn't know something had happened to her.
Well, I discovered her, in the state that she was in after everything was said and done. So, I mean, obviously I can't get into detail, but no, I was not aware that she had, passed on.
Hmm.
As you know, I'm up and down throughout the night, and, I was not in the room the whole time. I mean, it's not like you just suddenly feel someone's ghost pass away from them. It's a discovery. And
So she wasn't even in the same room with you?
well, I mean, she was in the room that I started in, but I'm up and down throughout the night, and I tend to wander around the house and fiddle around on my phone and step out front and feel the nice cool night air and all that. So I was gone from the room for. I mean, obviously, I really can't get into too many details, but
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't discover what had happened until just around dawn.
Hmm. Okay. Interesting.
Because I discovered that she was ice cold.
I had paused that a little prematurely. So obviously, he's not going to admit this to his parents, if he even knew at this point. But that was all a load of crap. Maybe he did leave the room to go get some air after she laid dead on that bed. And maybe when he came back, she was cold to the touch and her lips were starting to turn blue. But she fought because there was foreign DNA found underneath her nails. Blood and DNA that didn't belong to her. He had scratches on his hands that they swabbed for DNA that were consistent with a struggle, consistent with him facing her and what was under her nails and the marks that were on his hand. It wasn't because he was using the tire iron and smashed his thumb. He had other marks on his hand that she put there while she struggled for survival. I've said it before. She didn't overdose. He doesn't know that yet because he hasn't seen the autopsy report to discuss it with his parents. Her hyoid bone was either broken or displaced, something that only happens during strangulation. So even if it's true that he got up and he went outside and got some fresh air, it was after he had already killed her. And it was probably very, very, very traumatic for him because he loved Maddie. In the most disgusting, despicable, nasty way, he loved Maddie. I don't think he wanted Maddie dead. With her dead, he couldn't continue to abuse her. He couldn't continue to keep her the object of his affection. His muse, if you will. So, to hear him say that he discovered her, that he left the room, and just so what? Some random person came in while you were standing outside and fiddling on your phone, strangled her, and then left? And you came back and she was dead. Meanwhile, her mother was sleeping downstairs because she had taken her nighttime meds and gone to sleep? Or was it, are you saying it was Natalie who woke up out of a slumber, or her son? I'm sure that, that didn't happen. So what do you mean you just discovered her? I hope that gets used against him.
Well, all I can say, Stephan, is that my heart breaks for you because I know that's something that you never would have done and never would have wanted to have done to her. And
right.
neither would we.
Right.
And I just, I'm angry on your behalf that it happened, and I'm angry that you got dragged into it by them. So I'm just angry.
Was there anybody else at the townhome that was not a regular person?
No, which is why I keep saying that I'm not sure that there's any one person honestly to blame, but they're certainly trying to blame me. And according to the autopsy report, like I said, raises a lot more questions, but they seem to be settling on trying to say it's homicide.
Trying to say it's homicide. They're not going to say it's homicide if it's not questionable. There wasn't an accident. She didn't fall down the stairs and break her neck. She didn't trip and fall and slam her head on something. Like, these were things. And also, I mean, can't forget this little detail. If he walked in and found her laying there, her lips were blue, why wouldn't he attempt CPR? Why wouldn't he call 911? Hey, I found my stepdaughter or my daughter, my wife, my girlfriend's daughter laying in the bed. She's not responsive. Even if her lips were turning blue, he'd call for help. He didn't do that. Instead, he worked in that room for hours into the night and into the wee morning, loaded her in his car, propped her up like she was asleep, drove around all over the place with her, threw her stuff in the trash compactor with other random trash, tossed her in the trunk, drove around with her some more, abandoned her in the middle of flipping nowhere. Those are things that you do when it's not a homicide. People don't do that when there's an accident, I promise. The only people that do that when it's an accident are people who are guilty of something. If she would have fallen or if he would have found her like that and he didn't know what happened to her, he would have called 911. He didn't. He would have attempted CPR. He didn't. Instead, he did a Weekend at Bernie's type situation and then dumped her off like she didn't matter. Left her vulnerable for animals and everything else. And it's not a homicide. He was framed. This dude is sick.
Like I said, it has something to do with bones in her throat, but take that to mean what you will.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
But you know, I would never have done anything like that.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, you're the same person that cried when I asked you to dispatch a little bird that broke its neck or something and was flopping around.
Yeah, you know, same person that cares about people, cries at movies.
Yes, I know.
And then there was Skippy.
Skippy, yep. Rue.
Jaybird.
Jaybird, yep, I remember them all. Burying them was very hard for me.
Yeah.
And
all I know, Stephan, is when I look at a picture of you and I look into your eyes, I don't see a monster there. I don't see a bad person there. I see my son who I love.
You can have empathy. You can be an empathetic person that has sensitivity towards things and still be monstrous. We talk about mutual exclusion, things that cancel each other out. In behavior, when it comes to humans on the topic, I am not a medical professional. I don't have a fancy certificate on my wall. So these are my opinions based on some of my educational background. That people are multi-layered. And we don't all fit in a box that's the same for everyone else. Part of our personalities of who we are by nature and nurture, who we are based on society, and how we get to the conclusions of our life and what legacies we leave behind. I don't see a monster. I just see my son is a very parental thing to say. Because she doesn't want to see that her son is a monster. She wants to live in the delusion that her sweet boy, who cried at movies, who wept over pets and animals, could not possibly be the person who did what he did. But at some point, you have to accept that the person you love isn't who you think they are. And at this point, 2 months later, she's had plenty of things at her disposal to know that he's not a good person. He's not the person you wish he was. She has this romanticized version of her son in her head because she's unwilling to accept what he did. And it's sad because she's not doing herself any favors by living in this land of denial. But again, I don't think he wanted Maddie dead. I think he was left with feeling like there wasn't a choice and hoping that if he got rid of her and she wasn't found for time, that it would be hard to trace it back to him or even to Jen and whichever. But it also doesn't show a ton of premeditation. I'm not saying it wasn't a premeditated murder because I don't know that. But when I say a ton of premeditation, we're not talking like he thought about killing her for the last year. There was a crux. There was something that spiraled this whole chain of events. There was something that occurred that we don't know. There's a missing puzzle piece. Maybe there's a few missing puzzle pieces that surround this whole thing. But something occurred that sent everything on this domino effect of Maddie ending up dead and him ending up where he is. That wasn't thought out very well. That wasn't planned out, which is why I keep going back to the only person who knew anything about St. Cloud was Jen. Stephan isn't from that area. He doesn't know the area. He doesn't know those landmarks. He didn't have a phone to find what she would have been talking about if she would have said, take her to Lake Lizzie or take her to Harmony. He was close. He was within like 6 or 7 miles of both locations, depending on which direction he would have turned, left or right. He was close, but he didn't have a phone for the maps. He didn't know where he was. He wasn't familiar with the area. She's the one who had friends out there. Not him. His life was more towards the Gulf, his parents and where he grew up and where he lived. He didn't know anyone in St. Cloud. That was Jen. And that's why I think he was driving that direction, trying to find what she was looking for. And the only reason he was discovered was because of that tire. That tire that didn't just get a hole, that tire shredded. And I will believe until forever that was Maddie saying, here I am, this is where he left me. Because if it were not for that tire and people seeing him on the side of the road, changing that tire with a car that was ascribed, she would not have been found they wouldn't have found her there. It would have taken somebody who owns that property to be combing the area or walking along the path for whatever reason to find her. She wasn't close enough to the road to be seen. That's not anywhere that police would have looked or thought to look. There's a ton of lakes and everything else over there. Like, where she was, she could have been there for a long time and never found. So that tire shredding where it did is what led them where she was, and that's how they found her. He wasn't counting on that. He wasn't counting on that tire completely going on him like it did. And it screwed him, and I'm glad it did. But someone can be sappy and emotional and still do bad things. I don't know why people think that, oh, well, you have to be a complete sociopath or whatever and not feel any pain to commit horrible crimes. That's not true. You can be sentimental and still be a bad person.
that never will change.
Well, thank you. And I know that I'm not a bad person or an evil person or a monster.
No. But you do need to dive into the Bible head first and stay in it, because you need grace and you need God on your side as a warrior on your side.
Lady, give it
I
up.
keep asking him to help me through this somehow. I know that
And you still don't have a Bible?
I have a Bible. I have a King James version.
Okay. Well, we're looking into getting your large print Bible. So I want to make sure that this delivery gets to you, and then I can order one from the publisher and get it to you, large print, so you won't need glasses.
Well, hopefully it does. We have no idea how often they pick it up or how long it'll take to get here and get sorted and get delivered, if it does at all. But I haven't received any written notification of anything being returned yet, so.
Okay. Well, we'll see what happens. You know, we'll judge it from there, and so we'll just make sure that we're timing this right. So
Keep praying.
the Bible will occupy the majority of your time.
Yep, I keep praying to God for help, for some kind of miracle. I mean, I know I've probably run up my divine credit as far as miracles go with my.
I am so frustrated because, like, I am a religious person. I was born and raised Catholic. Little fun fact, I thankfully didn't have any of the experiences that unfortunately people had experienced within faith and within religion. I had parents who weren't perfect, but they were pretty wonderful. I went to private Catholic schools my whole life. We may not have had a lot of the best things, but as far as money goes, and we might not have taken a bunch of fancy trips, but my parents prioritized education. That was important to them, that we be educated, because they had family members who were not. They were very poor growing up and did not have some of the luxuries that education brings. And it was just important to them that we have that. And as someone who has had to lean on that faith, that someday when it's our time, there's something after death. And I'm not going to get into a huge religious lecture here, because I never push my beliefs on other people. They're mine. It's my spiritual journey, and not everybody shares spiritual journeys. But for me, my belief is that God, the afterlife, everything is, it's not expecting perfection out of people, but accountability is huge. When you read about, the parts of the Bible that talk about redemption, to get that redemption, there has to be acknowledgement of what you did to need that redemption, to need that forgiveness. And it seems blasphemous to expect God to be on your side and to give you his divine grace after doing what he did. Like, bro, that's a stretch, because every ounce of divine grace that you were given died when Maddie did. One of the commandments, thou shalt not kill. He killed her. That's actually one of the mortal sins, because he wants to preach about religion, and maybe he's not Catholic, so Catholicism isn't his thing. They're talking about the Bible, so religion at this moment is relative, it's valid. It's an argument that I can talk about right now, because he's claiming, okay, well, his lawyers brought up Pope Francis, who recently passed. So he may very well be Catholic. And as a Catholic, he should know that murder is one of the unforgivable sins. Now, as far as Catholicism go, if you're sorry for committing a murder, you may be given divine grace when it's your turn to pass over and earn your way back into heaven. But there's another place. There's a not good place that you can go if you don't seek that redemption and you're not sorry for what you did. But to think that God is going to magically get him out of this, that he is going to just bestow his great wisdom to the people helping Stearns, and he is just going to give his divinity to save a man's life and let him walk out of prison for free after all of the atrocities that he had done onto Maddie, and who knows who his other victims are, because I'm sure there's more. That's gross. Like, if a religious person hoping and praying for himself and that God saves him is just beyond. Like, no wonder there's so many people who can't stand religion. It's amazing when you have someone like him saying, "Oh, I'm really open for that divine intervention, man. I'm praying." He talks about guardian angels looking out for him. Like, he's just so deserving of all of these things. Infuriating, and I have to keep going.
Guardian angel and God working in overtime to keep me alive as long as they have. But I keep hoping for one more big miracle, one big salvation, and
Have you got some way to keep a journal of notes that you would take from reading the Bible?
I can get a pad of paper off the commissary, and I can get more pens and stuff too. I think my commissary is about -$10 by this point, but I know I can get a pad of white ruled paper off of there.
Okay. So do I need to replenish the commissary yet, or wait?
If you want to, yes. But I'm not going to use it on snacks, just on essentials for now.
All right, how much do I need to put in?
$50.
Okay. All right.
It's going to be dropped down to 40 like immediately.
Okay. All right.
We're about to get cut
We're
off.
just about out of time.
Yep, I'll talk to you later. I love you both.
I love you.
All right.
Bye.
Hey, is this a good time?
Hold on. Yeah.
I hate to interrupt him again, but I feel like every single time he calls, he's asking for money. And he knows his parents are struggling. He knows that they're having a hard time even paying for the necessary documents for him to have. Like, replacing his birth certificate that he lost was like $40-some. And every single time these people call, he's asking for money. Oh, well, I was in the negative $10. So if you put in 50, it's going to go down to 40 immediately. I mean, when was that last call? I don't really want to go back, but let's see. She marks it because she's wonderful. You're amazing, Gisela K. So May 6th was when he asked for more money. I'm sorry, May 26th. May 13th, he asked for money. May 26th, he asked for money. I thought there was another day in there. Maybe he just called twice on the same day. He did. But like, every time he talks to him, he asks for more money, knowing that they're strapped. Knowing that they haven't been able to sell his car, which, who the heck would want to buy that? I'm surprised they don't want it destroyed, but of course he needs money, so that's not going to be a thing. But like, really, my guy?
I was on the phone with somebody else, and first time you called in and inadvertently hit the wrong button. Hang on, I'm going to put you on speaker. Hang on. Okay, I got you.
Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Hey.
Somebody's in as well.
He's always in the well.
Yeah.
He's in a big room.
Yep, very echoey. Oh.
Did you get any of the books we sent yet?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay.
But I don't have any notification of anything being sent back either. I had
Okay.
a
All right.
meeting with the mental health director a couple days ago. She said they're going to take me down a step in custody level. So I'm going to be taken off non-acute status, and as soon as a space opens up in one of the regular isolation cells, I'll be moved to one of those.
Okay, good.
Does that mean that we can get a document to you and we can get it signed now?
Possibly. She said they won't put any restrictions on me.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good. And
Yeah.
when's that supposed to happen?
What's that?
Well, when is that supposed to happen?
Whenever a space opens up in one of those cells.
Oh, okay. All right.
She's
So,
just on
okay.
space. This is a very crowded jail. There's over 2,000 inmates.
All right. And you'll still be in kind of isolated protection?
Yep, I'll still be in protective custody. I'll still be by myself. I just won't be
Oh.
under self-harm watch.
Oh, okay. All right.
And I won't be in any of the self-harm pods.
Okay.
So that's
All right. Well, I guess that's better accommodations. You'll have concierge services.
not likely, but I might actually have a rack to put my mat on, so I'm not going to be on the floor. Maybe I'll have a seat and a table. Who knows? But I won't be surrounded by crazies all the time,
Okay.
or relatively so.
All right.
That should be an improvement at least.
All right. Sounds good.
Yep. Any other news or updates on your end?
No. Everything's still status quo. Somebody sent us a link to a YouTube video that, I mean, these amateur sleuths, just are relentless. I mean, they just go down any and every, path they can go. And so
Hey, I'm an
this
amateur
link to this
sleuth.
YouTube video, it had, tracked all your internet activity and all the sites that you had joined,
Dark web.
the dark web, whatever, but some of the offbeat websites. So I'm sure you know what I'm referring to without me having to name them.
Oh, and those offbeat websites he's talking about, we're not talking about Reddit, where he's showing off the toys that he bought, or eBay, where he was buying the toys. She mentioned the dark web. So, take with that what you will.
Okay.
So I'm just telling you that all that shit exists out there. And oh, by the way, I sped through this 2-hour YouTube video, and your former roommates at the townhome that you rented, have ratted you out in ways, and fabricated stories, about a shared network drive and video that had been recorded, and supposedly approached your mother about them, threatening to disclose you in these videos, and that we paid them off, which was total bullshit. We've never heard about this until these videos, and these asshole friends of yours have managed to get themselves on these YouTube channels and disclose all sorts of shit. Because I can tell you this: if any one of them, and we know who we're talking about, had come to us with that, we would have told them, feel free to do whatever you want. We're not paying you jack shit. If somebody had done something, I suggest you pursue it with them or the authorities, but don't bring this up to our attention ever again. I can assure you that we would not have paid off anybody. It wouldn't have been our problem, and we wouldn't have paid for it, period.
So my former roommates are trying to blackmail you into paying them off?
No, they're claiming that they had supposedly come to us and blackmailed us, and that we paid them money, which they've described it in two events, one at a restaurant, and then your mother supposedly showing up at the townhome and with a manila envelope. And you and I know, and we all know, that is bullshit.
Yeah.
Didn't happen, didn't exist, never did it.
It never happens.
So do you think that his dad is saying these things knowing that the calls are recorded and maybe eventually released to the public? I mean, I kind of love that his parents are just scouring YouTube videos. They'll never find me because I'm nobody. But, like, so, you know, you have Gisela K, who's talked about him. You have Strategic Eye, who's talked about him. I don't know who would have interviewed former roommates. I need to find that because that's pretty good. Well, I don't believe in the whole espionage of we'll pay you to keep these videos under wraps. Like, I don't know that I believe in all that. Pretty funny though. As far as him being on the dark web, believe it. I definitely believe that he was probably on some pretty sketchy sites. That's all gonna likely come out at trial because they would have seized whatever they could. But you know, I'm kind of at people who might have known about it and didn't report it because they absolutely should have. But ultimately, the one responsible for his own actions would be Stephan. So I'm treading lightly with that one. But I just love that his parents are, you know, paying attention to people on YouTube and are obsessed with what people have to say about their piece of crap son. But anyway, carry on.
And if they had done that, I would have said, go ahead and do whatever you want. You're not getting a penny from me. It's not my problem, so don't even come to me with it. Period.
Are they aware that blackmail and coercion is also illegal?
Well, it's kind of a moot point when you're looking at the number of years ago this was, and right now it's their word, it's hearsay. But I'm just telling you what these amateur sleuths are repeating. Matter of fact, they even said that we owned the townhome, which we didn't.
We've been living in $1 million homes, and you were a spoiled, rotten kid because of it. And I'm thinking, we've never been in a $1 million home.
But anyway, I'm just telling you the bullshit that goes on out there, which is why I don't pay attention to these YouTube videos. But I'm just telling you, your former roommates.
I don't pay attention to any of these videos, but I'm going to give you a monologue about what they say. Okay.
Have done a nice job of sabotaging or discrediting your character and what have you. So everybody's jumping on the bandwagon, you know, throwing you under the bus and what have you. But I'm just relating this story of that's been repeated a few times about some video being recorded in the townhome, and that they came to us requesting, and we pleaded with them not to disclose it, and we paid them off, which is just absolute bullshit.
You should be very careful about that because they're seriously opening themselves up to a lawsuit for defamation.
Well, it's not, you know, it takes money to sue somebody, and you have to prove it, and so no one's going to take a case like that pro bono, and it's not worth chasing. And you have to prove damages, and we haven't suffered any damages. But I'm just telling you the bullshit that's floating out there.
That's crazy.
Yep. But anyway, you know, they've done their search, and they've discovered some of these websites that you've subscribed to, participated in, or what have you. So I'm just giving you a heads up that they are leaving no stone unturned as they go down a rat hole chasing this shit.
Crazy.
Yep. Yep.
Well,
Don't even try to figure out why they did it because we can't figure out why they did it except
Who did it?
the roommate.
Okay. All right, we moved on past that. But
Yeah, but the thing is that these YouTube sites give people a chance to talk with complete immunity because they never check them, they never fact check them, they don't care about the facts, they just care about getting people to click on and pay them money for the YouTube site. So.
And supposedly these hosts of these YouTube channels pay these people to provide this information as well. So whatever that's.
That's not necessarily true. Because, okay, YouTube has its rules. This isn't a free-for-all. You can't just go on YouTube, lie about people, and get paid to do it. Because they have the demonetization process. So like you might be on a channel and you might see that while they're live, people are giving them money and paying for stickers and stuff. So yeah, in the moment they're making money off of that, but at the same time, once that video gets posted, those super stickers and stuff, as far as I understand, are still paid for, but I don't know if that's something that can continue in the comments if something's been demonetized. So it really isn't a free for all. Strategic Guy has talked about some of his photos being demonetized because he gets reported as, bullying Jen or whatever he calls them, ladies with purple hair, which makes me laugh. But they do it to him all the time, and he has to appeal it. And sometimes YouTube might agree with him that, his video can stay up and the monetization will stand. But sometimes he loses those. And if he loses that monetization, he's not making money on that video. So if it's watched a million times, he's not making money on the advertisements and stuff that he might have if it wasn't. So you can't just go on YouTube, say whatever you want, have it be reported as you lying, even if it's not about this case, anything. If you go on there and you're making, gratuitous statements, you can't really do that. They still take videos down. Videos are taken down off YouTube all the time. They did that to Colby Ryan when he was talking about Lori Vallow's, his mother's interview with whatever news organization wanted to hear what came out of her mouth, I guess, for some reason, because the woman's crazy. But, they paid her for an interview, and Colby was trying to watch the video with his viewers. I was one of them. And YouTube kept putting on the ban hammer, disconnecting him. He created a new stream. A few minutes later, that happened again. YouTube was fighting him to use that content live. And so it's not like this. That's a very ignorant statement because it really is not a free-for-all. But this is just feeding into that delusion that, people are just out to get stuff in for no reason.
And some roommate of...
Oh yeah, the roommate. That's really funny. So reading this interview of the former roommate said that both you and were grossly overweight and you both had gastric bypass. I mean, I'm just telling you, this shit is just what? I don't. They didn't disclose her name, okay? But to say that you had gastric bypass, which you've never had, and that you were grossly overweight, which you never were, again, is the bullshit that's just floating out there on these YouTube channels.
Well, some had gastric bypass, but
Yep.
it's not a big deal these days.
Understand. But they're saying that you had it,
And they're saying that she refused to take her bipolar meds, which she was very forgetful, and didn't do a lot. But
he might not have had gastric bypass, but he definitely had something done because that man does not have 3 belly buttons. If you go back to his video that I shared when he was getting arrested, he had 3 very significant holes. Obviously, one was a belly button, but there were 2 other marks that people say are consistent with having weight loss surgery. Those don't just appear out of nowhere. So he had something done. Whether he had, I had a hernia repair done, but they were not that big as his. Mine are very, very, very tiny scars. But I had 3 points, but they weren't like in line like a belly buttons. He has 3 very distinctive marks. One is obviously the belly button, but there's 2 others that are odd. So he had something done. Not that it's important, but it's again this funny thing, like they're saying these things knowing they're being recorded.
we're saying that it was not ADHD, but they thought she was autistic. And Mike going, no, she wasn't.
Well,
Was it autistic?
it was a question mark. You know, you had one doctor saying that she was possibly on the spectrum, another saying, no, it doesn't seem like it, she's just ADHD. And other doctors didn't know, so it was a question mark.
Yeah. But anyway, it's a three-ring circus out there with these YouTube channels, which is why I don't watch them. Your mother doesn't watch them, but every now and then somebody sends us a link to something, and like I said, I sped viewed it and came away with a little bit of information and a lot of bad information, misinformation, inaccurate information, but it is what it is, and so I'm not going to bother with it. You know, you have to consider the source and the validity of it, and everybody's highly speculative about whatever they come across, and then they try to make something monumental out of it that just doesn't exist. You know.
I don't know how they can even find jurors that haven't listened to some of this crap.
Yeah.
They can't.
It's tainted. It's tainted. The whole thing is tainted now.
Yeah, they might have to shop it out to a different venue, but even at that point, I think it's going to be hard to find anyone who hasn't heard about all this.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that's true, and the minute they do hear about it, they're going to go in, and even though they're not supposed to, they're going to go in and check the internet, and they're going to see these things, they're going to believe this stuff because they don't know the difference between truth and non-truth.
Fact and fiction.
Yep.
Yeah.
And there's nothing, if I go in and say, you people are idiots. You know this never happened, and I can't do that because it won't do you good.
You don't want to engage with it.
So, don't want to give them. They're not worthy of the merit of any comments, and they can just enjoy themselves. And then when the truth comes out, then they'll have to do a lot of backtracking. Yeah, right. Okay, sure.
So this is really funny to me because it's like we're not giving it any merit, but you are. We're not paying attention to any of it, but you are. You know you're on a recorded line, and you know what your laws are in your state. For a period of time, he was involved in law enforcement, so he knows. He knows what the state laws are, and they've now had 2 months to look at the different state laws. So they know they're on a recorded line. Otherwise, why would they even be bothering him with this? There's nothing he can do about it. I mean, yeah, I suppose he could talk to his lawyers about it, but they could too. They could, and I'm sure even if they didn't, their lawyers would be aware because they know things. But even then, they could have been like, hey, we need to let you guys know that this stuff is being said or whatever. Can you shut it down? Which they can't because, that amendment, the First Amendment right to free speech, you can't lie about people and knowingly lie about people, but you're allowed to talk about it. You're not going to be able to stop them from talking about it. So this whole thing is so funny because, we're not giving it any merit, but we're going to talk to you about it. And that way, hopefully down the road, if people hear it, we can, they're going to eat their words. They're going to have to backtrack when the truth comes out. Well, this did not age well. This aged like milk. Because now there's all this information available that was not available when these calls were made. That makes you look worse, Stephan. Good job. Yeah. Yeah, this aged really poorly.
But anyway.
I will tell you this, Stephan. You know that we're saved people. You know that we're Christians, and you know that these people came to us many times for help in their living situations, and you know that we helped all of them. I don't understand why these kids think it's so wonderful to jump on this bandwagon and crucify us when we were there for them when they needed us. I don't understand that.
Well, it's because we have fallings out for various reasons, and they can't resist the temptation to kick me while I'm down because they think they can do it with impunity.
Absolutely.
They didn't have the balls to do it on the screen.
Well, when you were free, Stephan, they didn't, think that there was a need because they may have suspected some things and they may have found things later if you shared a computer with them or whatever. But okay, I'm going to be that person and say nobody should be harassing his parents. If you're harassing his parents, shame on you. They're not perfect people, and they may have raised a complete monster, but they're not responsible for his crimes. They're not responsible for what he did to Maddie. He is a grown man. So harassing his parents, if people are doing cruel things to them, like, I'm not even going to put ideas in anyone's head. Please don't do that. Because we might not be their biggest fans, but that's not right. That's wrong. They don't deserve to be harassed. You know, but if people want to drag him through the mud and oh, they didn't help, what, yeah, you're such a hard ass, Stephan. Oh, they didn't have the balls to say it to my face before I got arrested. Now they can do it now with impunity, he says. No, it's because now they know things about you that disgusts them. And by the way, Miss Deb, it wasn't an outside source who claimed that Maddie had autism. It was her mother. Her mother said it in in an interview with law enforcement that Maddie had been tested for autism, but was found to may have a few markers that could coincide with autism, but ultimately she was non-autistic. It was Jen who said that. Maddie's mother. Like, people weren't just pulling that out of nowhere. It came from a source. It came from Jen. So, for the most part, people are going to believe what Jen says if she says she had her daughter tested. That she probably did. Because, you know, she would have gotten paid or whatever. There's government money that can be given when assistance is provided to, you know, those who have a child with autism. I'm just like, it was Jen who said it.
Okay.
So they didn't have the balls to do it while it was free.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, they were jealous. You know who was always the one with
Jealous.
the little, very, very something on his back, the mouth.
No one is
Oh,
jealous of
Always
him.
so jealous of you. He's so jealous of you. And
He sabotaged me at every turn. I mean, if you remember when I was working Quiznos, I was in lines for management, so he started working there. Then suddenly everyone's attitude towards me changed, and he became the manager.
Yeah. Yeah.
well, that's what he does. He's
And, you know, there were people in our friends group who, for some reason, were under the impression that I was a complete moron.
well, they should check your IQ score.
Oh, I can't.
Well, I know he was backstabbing and trying to put himself above me at every opportunity.
Oh my god, I wasn't muted. I cannot. Not Quiznos. He was always jealous of me. I promise no one's jealous of you, Stephan. No one. You got passed up for an opportunity for management from Quiznos. Okay, so I've been in 2 different Quiznos in my whole life. Are Quiznos even a thing anymore? I'm not sure. But I've been in 2 Quiznos my whole life. Both different ones. And they have, like, hardly any staff. It's not like McDonald's to where you have, like, 15 to 20 people working at a time. You have grill people, you have window people, you have fryer people, you have people cleaning, you have people at the counter. Quiznos is, like, 3 people. So if you get passed up for management when there's probably like what, a dozen employees total, I was up for management position. He snaked it from me. That rat. Quiznos. Good grief. No one's jealous.
Found out a while back that he was even stealing my possessions and selling them.
Like what?
Airsoft guns. I mean, my street board went missing. A lot of my Pokemon cards went missing. There's the one missing.
Well, you're talking about when you guys were roommates, he was stealing your stuff and selling it?
Yep.
Well, no surprise.
No.
I believe that.
He needed to support his lifestyle somehow, and did the same thing with his parents' crap too. So.
Yeah.
What else?
I know he peddled his dad's pills.
Yeah, he was a first-class citizen. We all know that, which is why he got kicked out of his house.
Yep. And
You know, and it's funny because they're trashing this guy who, I mean, thankfully they're not dropping his name, but I mean, I guess if this guy is publicizing his relationship with Stephan that could be tracked back to it, I guess people could figure out who they're talking about. But like, he wants to talk about, I mean, his dad's not wrong. Um, it's one of those things to where it's like, okay, Johnny Depp sued Amber Heard because she lied about him repeatedly and it cost him movie roles. It cost him his reputation. It cost him a lot of things that he could prove as tangible. And so he sued her. But Stephan, who doesn't have money, who doesn't even have money for pickles for commissary, if you want to be real. So you have Stephan, who's saying that these people are lying by giving out by dishing on him that they didn't have the balls to say them to his face when he was out, but now feel like they can say the things that they want to say, this, that, and the other thing. But it's just kind of funny because now they're having the free-for-all about this guy and doing the same thing. Weird.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm going to call you back in 15 minutes if I can because we got the 1 minute warning.
All right, later.
All right, bye.
Hey, sweetie.
Hey, I'm back.
Yay.
So, spent the last 15 minutes thinking
What
about
was
these
that?
yahoos.
They aren't worth the time.
Can't believe that. Just
Well,
all
it's true.
for all of them that they would try to do this crap.
You know, these are the same ones that came to you for help and were always saying what a good friend you were, and you would keep all their secrets for them and stuff. But yet they don't have any secrets of yours. They'll make them up just so that they can make themselves sound big on YouTube. You know,
Yep.
it's a sad situation when people are that desperate for attention,
Yep.
especially when Sir Lancelot was the one going to community college to learn how to be a computer programmer, and he's the only one who could have set up a network if there ever was one. So forget that. That's bullshit.
I'm
You
sure
know, he did it if anybody did it.
paid for information and decided he would make some stuff up and get paid on my account.
Yep.
Whoever paid him ought to get a refund because he fleeced them.
They don't care. Do you know how much money they made off of it? To have all this purulent information on you, to have people click on. These people are vultures. They're worse than that.
Oh, yeah.
Because they don't wait till you're dead to feed on you.
Yeah. Well.
Anyway, how are you doing?
Well, you know, I'm hanging in there. Keeping up as best as I can. Did a little bit of exercise today.
Good.
Push-ups, crunches, squats, leg lifts, whatever.
Whatever you can do.
Well, see if you can ask somebody about the book order and see, I don't know how long it takes to have these items delivered, but I don't know. We haven't gotten any indications that they've been returned, so they're in the system, so I don't know how long it takes for you to get them.
Yeah, I haven't gotten any indication that they've been returned either, so still waiting to hear on that. But been praying a lot.
Good.
And,
He hears you. God hears your prayers.
We've been praying for deliverance as well, but I don't know.
Well, Proverbs shows you how to live. Romans shows you how God forgives. So those are the two I would look at.
I've been praying to Him to deliver me from all this and give me a chance to get my life back on track, but there might be some kind of slim chance, but I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to jinx anything or get anybody's hopes up. But I'm going to try. Worth a try anyway.
Well, they need to get her out of the hospital where she can be interviewed by the police. They need to ruin all her family in, all those bitches. They were sitting there at the grandmother's house calling 911 and being ugly to the 911 operators. They already knew what had happened. They all knew. And none of them were acting scared. None of them were acting concerned. They were talking like we're talking now. Like there wasn't really anything big going on.
Well, I wouldn't get so carried away with any conspiracy theories.
You don't have to be a conspiracy theorist to see the writing on the wall.
Well, at any rate, that's probably not going to help me anyway.
Well, don't give up anything. Don't give up on anything.
Well, I'm not. I'm holding on to hope until there's nothing left to hold on to. And
well, when you get to the end of the rope, you tie a knot in it and still hang on.
When I first got here, I was praying to God for strength and serenity, and, He's given me that. Especially lately, I've noticed I've just been overcome by an overwhelming sense of calm and serenity.
See, and there he goes again, talking about God, and I know that, like, that's his right or whatever, and I can't take his religious beliefs away from him. They're his to have. But again, as a religious person, this is like really frustrating for me because, I hate it. I hate that it's not, I mean, of course he can't say that because he's recorded, but he's not showing any sadness or empathy or regret for Maddie. It's me, 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 me. I want God to save me. I want him to have his mercy on me. I want him to protect me. I want him to keep me from jail and keep me safe. Like, don't hide behind religion, sir. You're a piece of crap.
Oh, good.
He's working on you. I pray for every day. I pray for him to put fences of protection around you and to hear you calling him.
Well, I have been, and thank him for granting me that serenity. Just been thinking about, how he works, how he uses hardship as a vehicle to move you.
Yeah.
Human nature being what it is.
I was in the kitchen making sandwiches, and I started laughing in the kitchen because we were talking about all these people saying stuff, about networks being set up and videos and blackmail and an envelope full of cash. And I'm thinking, damn, they've been watching some movies, haven't they?
I know, I was thinking that too. It sounds like a bad spy movie.
I know.
If you came to the house to pay them off, why would you have bothered putting the cash in a manila envelope if you were going to be inside the house?
Who knows? But then the other one is that I went to a restaurant and slid it across the table to them.
I know. Like, what is that? Why not both payments at the house? Wouldn't that have made more sense?
Well, none of it makes sense, and I keep telling Chris, I said, why can't I just offer to go take a lie detector test and put all this to bed? But
And if you're going to bring a large wad of cash, why would you take it out of the bank envelope to put it into a big manila envelope just to take it inside to a house and hand it to somebody?
Why would I give it to those wads of bubble gum anyway? They have the mental capacity of a 2-year-old.
He was a terrible liar anyway. He lied about big things. He lied about little things. He lied to women all the time. He lied just to, make himself seem cooler or maybe gain more acceptance. But he just lied. He was one of those people that lied for no reason. It's like, buddy, you don't have to lie. Like, we already lied to you. You're already our friend. There's no need to lie or build yourself up,
Because they're a habitual liar, and it's hard when you're a liar to keep the truth straight because you change it every time you tell somebody something.
I don't know. I just used to laugh it off and dismiss it.
Yeah, well, it's weird. Just some weird. They're so weird. I don't know.
Yeah. Whatever. He was probably counting his money, walking away laughing, saying, "Thank you, Stephan."
Yeah, probably. Just, these people they don't have a moral compass. They have no conscience. They have nothing redeeming about them. I'm sure God can find something, but He's going to have to dig.
Well,
And I don't think they're looking to Him for anything anyway. So.
they definitely didn't have any honor or integrity. It's one of the reasons I ended up cutting them out of my life.
No.
It just took me too long to do it. You know, back to what I was saying, I was thinking about, how God uses hardship as a vehicle to move people.
Right.
And human nature being what it is, even if we're not where we're supposed to be in life, we'll stay there if we're comfortable enough. We won't make any changes, and so God uses hardship as motivation and a vehicle to move us to where we need to be in life.
You know what He did with me and Dinky?
Yeah.
I remember standing in that pasture over his body, flipping God off and telling him how much I hated him, but that was the reason that I got saved. Because I lost Binky.
Well, all this happened and, passed away, and that immediately brought me back to God. That was the first thing I did, was begged God to take me and spare her. And
So, everybody who loves somebody will do that. So,
I haven't stopped praying.
I'm sorry, I'm pausing again, but this is just gross. I pled with God to take me and not her. My guy, I mean, like, calling him that. No term of endearment that he deserves. You didn't have to kill her. You didn't have to. Whatever went down, you could have faced the music, because yes, you would have gone to prison for a long time. But if you just fessed up to whatever it was that happened that you did, she'd still be alive. You'd still be being held accountable, but she'd still be alive. Instead, you killed her. You didn't have to do that.
no. No, if you love somebody, you would rather take their pain than have them have it.
Yeah. I would have died for her. But, I've told God, I said, I see what you did. You immediately brought me back to you, and that I had strayed for a long time, and, message received. My eyes are open. I just wish it didn't have such a high price attached to it. And it's just, I don't know.
Sometimes you have to look at why it was taken, and it was her time. God knows what's going to happen to you when you're born. He knows every moment of your life that's coming. So,
I know He has a plan, and every day I've been reaffirming to myself and reassuring myself that I have to be patient and maintain my faith, and have faith that He has a plan for me, whatever it may be, that it will be revealed in time, and that all I
I hope
need to
so.
do is be patient and maintain my faith in Him and trust.
Well, you got to trusting. You got to maintain your sanity. You got to maintain your cool. And like Xavier told me, when he was in jail, the only thing that saved him was trying to keep a sense of humor about the situation, even though it was terrible.
I don't have much of a sense of humor anymore, to be honest. A very large part of me died when she did.
Well,
And I'm not the same person anymore, and I don't think I ever will be. And there's some wounds that just don't ever heal.
well, I'm assuming that they are treating you for PTSD because you found the body, not to mention everything else that went along with that.
No, not treating me for.
You have PTSD from finding the body. Okay, so allegedly, found the body. There is a belief that when someone takes another person's life, there's a physiological and psychological change that occurs. And it often is what ends up turning them into whether they're going to be a serial killer or not. But once that first death occurs, intentional death that's on purpose, especially, there's something that changes. And I'm trying to think of a person who might have been a decent person before they took a life and then are not anymore. I'm sure there are probably plenty of situations and circumstances. But taking a life with intention, it would change a person, I'd imagine. I haven't done it. So, I mean, I feel like I change depending on who it is that I've lost in my life. And I didn't take their life, and it changes me. I can't imagine taking the life and watching that light leave their body, and it's someone I care about. Does he have PTSD? Maybe. I'm not going to discount it. I'm not going to say he doesn't. He might. But ma'am, it's not from finding her. It's from killing her. There are two distinct differences. Because finding someone leaves a different kind of, leaves a completely different kind of traumatic stress. You look at somebody who is in the military and they go to a high war crime filled area, and they may not take any lives themselves, but can suffer from PTSD, from hearing explosions all the time, and just the trauma associated with living a life that's filled with things that would, trigger feelings of anxiety and great emotional distress. But usually, people who suffer from PTSD don't do it as a result of something they did intentionally. But even again, in this case, he could have, just not killed her.
For anything except my blood pressure.
Well, they need to do the PTSD because you're not sleeping.
Well, it's just... I keep telling myself that I have to maintain my faith. Without faith and trust in God, I have nothing, and therefore I'm keeping that,
Well, just remember that not everybody knows who God is, and not everybody who's walking around is not a demon. Some are demons.
I keep telling God that I trust you and I have faith in you. Please deliver me from this. Please deliver me from the people who are trying to destroy me. And I just want to see my parents again.
You destroyed yourself there,
we'd
buddy.
like to see you too. It's been awfully quiet without you.
I just want to
How can you say that with the dogs?
What?
I asked your mother, I said, how can she say it's been quiet with the dogs?
Yeah. Well, relatively, I guess. But,
Well, yeah, nobody to say, hey, are you making ramen?
yeah, that ramen was a big hit, even with, I used to remember she would have such a mischievous little evil smile on her face when I made a fresh bowl of ramen, and she'd try a bite and then steal the rest of the bowl and walk away while staring evil looks and smiles at me. I miss that.
Well, she was a very special child, and I wish this had not happened that way, and I wish a lot of things had not happened the way they happened, and you know what I'm talking about?
Yep, me too.
So I don't understand that. I don't think there's ever anything that anybody could say to me that would make me understand that. So I'm not even going to go further than that into it, but just know that I don't care what you did. There is nothing that would make me hate you. There is nothing that would make me turn my back on you.
Well, I appreciate that, Mom. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome, sweetheart.
And, just going up for visits and bringing new snacks or new treats for her to try, or showing her new video games, or for games and things like that. I miss
What?
that.
Oh, you got the 1 minute notice.
Yeah, there it is again. Well, I'll try to call back in another 15 minutes, but you know the deal. If you don't hear from me then, I'll try to call back in the next few days.
Okay, we'll catch up to you then.
Love you,
All right.
honey.
I love you too, and I'll try again in 15 minutes, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
I'm actually going to pause it here and resume. I'm going to make a second part of this video to continue with his conversation with his parents and my comments as we go. But I mean, there is that sadness. It's just like I talked about yesterday or the other day with Jen, is I'm sure when she was talking to the officers and detectives with her attorney present the April after Maddie died, there was some genuine sadness there because she had a built-in bestie. That's what I call my girls. Well, my son too. I love him to pieces. But when you're a mom and you have children, they're like built-in best friends. Like, I am a parent first, but my kids are my friends too. Especially the ones that are grown, because I'm not responsible for them anymore. They're off doing their own thing in their own lives. And they can still drive me crazy because, they're supposed to as your kids. And I'm sure I drive them crazy as their mom. But she had a built-in bestie, and now her built-in bestie's gone. And she has no one. She doesn't have Stephan either, who she invested so much into. So I'm sure that was Stephan. Like I said before, there is some sadness there because I think he really did deep down care for Maddie in the most inappropriate way possible. He should never have felt the things for her that he felt, but to him it was real. And maybe in some capacity, Maddie thought she loved him too, but she was a victim, so we're not going to go there. So the idea that she's never going to steal food from him again, or he's never going to be able to give her new things to try, that is a genuine sadness because she's gone. But that doesn't negate that she's gone because he made her gone. And that's the saddest part of all, is she's not here to enjoy those things, and she's not here for him to show her new games and new foods and new stuff, because he did that. He decided to end that beautiful life. And so that's it for now. Thanks for hanging out with me, and we'll chat later.